Thank you. Thank you, Lascia Corda. The timing was pretty good there, I think. Minister, I want to thank you for bringing this bill to the House. There's a lot of things in this bill that have been long overdue and need to be addressed, and especially in a time where we have to address the issue we have with transport emissions and spiralling transport emissions and that car dependency and that type of urban sprawl and planning for the last 40 or 50 years, which has led us to that sprawl, which has led to that car dependency. And now we urgently need to get people onto public transport. And it's very difficult to provide. It's very difficult to provide high-frequency public transport service when you've got such dispersed settlement. And the NTA were in recently with us in the Transport Committee. And even across this House, I've heard such enthusiasm and so many deputies from across all parties enthusiastic about investment in public transport, investment in rail services, investment in bus services. The National Development Plan, which we had recently launched, I think covers it well. That 2-to-1 split we're going to have on public transport versus new roads, and that considerable investment in active transport, in cycling and walking and safe routes to school. And while we try to get people onto public transport, while we try our best to get people from cars onto public transport, many of those journeys, before you put your foot onto the train or the bus or wherever it may be, will be an active transport part of the journey. You'll be walking to a bus station or cycling to the train station or whatever it may be. And that's where we've got to focus on in terms of our investment, our intertown investment, our intertown objectives, and what we want to do in that to get people to be able to travel more easily. They're good objectives and they're solid, and the investment is there in that. It's the intratown, it's that bit where people are trying to get around their towns, where our children are trying to walk to school safely, where people want to walk down for social reasons. A lot of our towns have become quite hostile for children to walk around. I know I walk my own children to school some mornings, and it's dangerous there for them. A lot of the roads are dangerous for them to cycle on. A lot of the footpaths are dangerous. Footpaths are small and narrow in many of our towns, and we have a lot of cars seem to think it's fine to keep the carriageway free but block the footpath. And Minister, I do remember speaking to a committee about this, and the Road Safety Authority were looking at a publicity campaign about keeping footpaths free, and it's something we still got to aim for, because it is a problem. This legislation will address e-scooters, and e-scooters are going to become very much part of that active travel. It's another type of transport system that's relatively easy to use, although I have had a go on an e-scooter. It does take a little bit of practice. I would recommend to people, don't go straight out there and full throttle straight away. It does take a bit of getting used to. So we really need to introduce that legislation. I see a lot of e-scooters going around out there at the moment of varying speeds, of varying kind of standard of construction. Some of them look pretty flimsy. And with this legislation being brought in now, it does put people in a position where what they're using those scooters will be legal use of those scooters, where we can use them, who can use them, speeds, etc. And that was critically important. And I see the e-scooters, and I note e-bikes as well, are incorporated into this legislation. And that's critically important, that we start that we're agile in our legislation as the technology improves. Heard Deputy O'Cosig talk earlier on about the automated vehicles, and while we don't see them on the roads at the moment, and I don't know how long it's going to be, it could be a decade before we see them on the roads. It could be a lot quicker than that, because technology moves so fast. So it's good that our legislation is agile, that it incorporates that into it, and it allows for that test bed and those opportunities, so that you know, when the technology advances as it is, and there's work being done on that our legislation is there to cover it. So it is critically important that we legislate for this. And those I don't know how many of the ordinary cycle journeys or walking journeys might be replaced by e-scooters. I'd much prefer to see where those short car journeys, those 2 mile, 2 kilometre, 3 kilometre car journeys, those journeys that cause so much congestion in our towns in the morning, where it was those short car journeys that we were replacing with e-scooters rather than replacing people who were already cycling and walking, and that would be a challenge. But what is constant throughout that is we need to provide that safe infrastructure. So whether you're walking, cycling or on an e-scooter, we need that safe infrastructure in place, and there's no doubt about it. I note part of the legislation is to address the traffic management measures on the M50 as well. And I haven't driven on the M50 for quite a while because I use the Dart to get in and out of here now, but in my previous role I was on the M50 a lot, and you hit those points on the M50 where for no reason the traffic just backs up, and it creates an unsafe situation as people try and get in and out and get that kind of extra 30 metres on their journey. It does create unsafe situations. So I think if we're putting measures in place that'll maybe slow the traffic down, good advance warning on that, keeping the traffic flowing, because when people are in flowing traffic, they don't get as frustrated, even though they might be slowed down to 80 kilometres or 60 kilometres, whatever it might be. I think it's good, safe traffic management, and I welcome that in the bill as well. And yeah, I'll leave it at that, Minister, and thank you for the opportunity to speak on the bill. Thank you.